Hello everyone, welcome to another round of Tuesday Night Legacy, where we showcase Magic's most powerful formats. My name is Eugene, and I'll be your commentator for this round 2 from May 24th. On the left, we have Mason playing a blue-white Sentinel Blade deck. Now this is a Protect the President Delver of Secrets style deck, landing a threat and then protecting with either Daze, Force of Negation, or Force of Will. It has all of that card draw that a Delver deck would have, but this replaces the red for white, for a playset of Esper Sentinel and Stoneforge Mystic and a couple of True Name Nemesis. Getting down a threat and being able to get in there, having the Stoneforge Mystic package as well, can close out the game even faster. And 2 Snapcaster Mage for a utility creature that can flashback some of your best spells in a bind. On the right, we have AJ playing a Jeskai Standstill deck. This is a control deck at heart, playing all of these Planeswalkers to get a threat on board and control the board, maybe a couple Supreme Verdict. But where this deck really shines is it has the Urza Saga package that allows it to be able to apply pressure to the board while not actually casting anything and resolving a standstill very early to be able to pressure the opponent into not doing anything and still being able to gain advantage. Or cycling a Shark Typhoon will also not actually count as casting a spell, so being able to generate a ton of advantage from the standstill is where this deck really shines. With 2 blue decks facing off against each other, you never really know who's going to win until it's all over. Let's get started. So we have AJ starting with just a Ponder. Ponder, obviously a very good card. Getting that card selection. Both of these decks actually run a playset of Ponder and Brainstorm and Force of Will, so sharing a lot of the same card count. Most blue decks in Legacy sharing these exact cards. We see that Delver of Secrets being deployed on Mason's side turn 1. He's hoping to get this turned over, turn into a 2-3. Or a 3-2, excuse me. Let's see if I can get it to transform. There we go. Get that flyer in play. Didn't see it this time. Seeing a Malevolent Hermit come down on AJ's side. A response to the Stoneforge Mystic going into the battlefield. Does have to enter the battlefield. Has that trigger on the stack. And then is going to catch a Solitude from AJ. Pitching his Wandering Emperor to make sure that that is not in play. We see a Sword of Fire and Ice being fetched up on Mason's side off of that Stoneforge trigger. Now at any time, AJ can sacrifice this Malevolent Hermit to counter a non-creature spell. So if he really doesn't want to see that Sword of Fire and Ice in play, he can just pay 1 and sacrifice it. We do see another Stoneforge Mystic coming down on Mason's side. With AJ being so aggressive in getting rid of that Stoneforge, it was a little unlikely that he had another answer for it in the form of a counterspell at least. Now we're seeing a Hall of Heliod's Generosity getting wastelanded here. In response, the Shark Typhoon being cast as a cycle, so not being cast at all. The activated ability of the cycle gets a 1/1 Flying Shark in play, and you get to draw a card. This is a 1-of in AJ's deck. If he's able to get it down way late in the game, it can generate a lot of advantage, but it can also generate a lot of advantage at any time in the game, being able to get that big shark into play. All right, so no answers for this Cauldron Complete. We see the Delver of Secrets flip being blocked by the 1/1 Shark, and 5 damage coming across the board in the form of the Germ token attached to Cauldron Complete. The Malevolent Hermit may have been under the Cauldron, take a little bit extra, or take a little less damage, but it is exiled due to the Cauldron's effect, so cannot be cast from the graveyard for Disturb. See a Teferi being cast here, Teferi Time Raveler. This is a great answer to Cauldron. Just bounce the Germ out of play. Unless they have 7 mana or a Flicker Wisp. That is it's a semi-permanent answer, let's put it that way. See another Wasteland come down, getting that Urza Saga before it can do anything relevant. Another 3 damage in the air from the Insectile Aberration and just beats across the board with the Stoneforge Mystic getting rid of Teferi, who was only on 1. Seeing a Supreme Verdict, which is going to get rid of all of those creatures. AJ having perfect mana for it, all of these basics here. Ooh, that's a good answer. So 3 mana, no counter for the True Name Nemesis, naming AJ as the player. So now AJ's only answer to this spell, I think, is his Supreme Verdict. 1 of 2, and he just played 1. As this cannot be targeted, it can be destroyed with board wipes like a Supreme Verdict. And there's the second Supreme Verdict. Who would have thought? Oh, he's got 3 in the deck. So very good draws for AJ. Gets that True Name Nemesis out of there. Looks like we're just seeing a Snapcaster Mage for value. AJ is pretty low, so getting the Snapcaster in on the end of his turn is going to present a very real threat to lethal. Getting this Sword of Fire and Ice down that we've known about for a while. Oh, the Pithing Needle trying to name Sword, catching a Force of Negation. And we're going to see the equip. Oh, Sword. Oh, wow. That was the Iganjo being activated, dealing 4 damage with no color source is going to kill it, but there's no way to deal with that last Sentinel there. And so AJ is going to pack it up and go to game 2. Wow. Mason having just enough threats to close out that game. AJ starting very similar play here with a Ponder. Basic island fetched off of that Flooded Strand. Playing against a Wasteland deck, it's always smart to pull up those basics. I think AJ got a little bit blown out last game by those 2 Wastelands. Being able to cycle the Shark Storm, or whatever it's called, Shark Typhoon, and then put it back on top of your deck with the Hall of Heliod's Generosity. Pretty strong play. All right, we see a Pithing Needle come down. I believe it's naming the core Stoneforge Mystic. That's it. You know, just one of the most common cards played in Legacy, Stoneforge Mystic. Who forgets that name? We see an Urza Saga come down, immediately get Wastelanded. And a Ponder for turn, trying to set up for this Delver of Secrets. Now, Mason did confess to me later that the Delvers, once you got to game 2, were actually quite bad in the deck, as there were not a ton of instants and sorceries to get these guys to flip. But having that Ponder did see that Force of Will, so we're able to flip that Delver, and we're off to the races. We see a card out of the sideboard, the Stony Silence, preventing activated ability of all artifacts. This is going to shut down AJ's plan a little bit with the Urza Saga, but it's definitely worth it to him, so the Stoneforge Mystic becomes a lot less useful. These spells being cast, paying the extra 1 for the Sentinel tax there. See a Swords to Plowshares getting Force of Willed to keep that Delver of Secrets alive. Here's that Esper Sentinel for you. Not a super usual card to see. Just beats across the board for 4. This is presenting a very real 3-turn clock. Karakas down for Mason and pass it back. Get a Teferi. Teferi is going to catch another Force of Will, pitching Force of Will. So that is 3 out of 4 Force of Wills out of the deck. Does have 1 Force of Negation in 4 days. So not out of counterspells yet. Last card out of Mason's hand is a Brainstorm. So going to look at 3 cards. Put 2 back. Really thinking about this one. Does have the Polluted Delta in play, so he can make these cards go away if he needs to. Does not fetch on his turn. Seeing a Brainstorm from AJ as well. Trying to set up for his next turn. Looks like he's got a Dress Down in his hand. Not paying the extra mana. The Esper Sentinel getting to draw that card. So Mason draws the last card he knows about from that Brainstorm and then fetches. Doesn't really care, doesn't know about anything on the top. Deciding for... doesn't really know what he's deciding for. There we go. Going to see that Tundra in play. Pretty safe play here. No Wastelands out of AJ's deck. Oh, we're seeing a Cataclysm! The Cataclysm destroying so many things in play. We're seeing a Dress Down being thrown down for value. And then we're going to pick up everything except one of each type. And that is only goes for artifact, creature, enchantment, and land. So if there were any planeswalkers in play, because they are not specifically stated on the card, they do not get to pick one. So this is a destroy all planeswalkers effect. Not as effective as Mason would have liked, as he already had an enchantment and an artifact in play. So AJ basically just sacrificing most of his lands. We see a Pyroblast for the Delver of Secrets. We see a Swords to Plowshares for the Esper Sentinel, and things aren't looking great for Mason anymore. Top decking, not seeing much. We see the Urza Saga, going to be able to make the boy. Don't know if we're going to make the next boy. Thinking about it, decides to make the second boy. Just a Delver of Secrets down for Mason. A Retrofitter Foundry coming into play, cannot be activated. But it is another artifact in play, making these Karnstruck boys 4/4s. Pretty big, and can close out the game quite quickly. We see a Stoneforge Mystic into play. The triggered ability of the creature will still happen. AJ points at his Pithing Needle a couple times, saying, you know, this is on Stoneforge. Goes, yeah. Still a triggered ability. So we see a Sword of Fire and Ice go to hand. Unfortunately, can't do anything with it. Mason told me that he fetched it up simply to have something to brainstorm away. See an Esper Sentinel come down. And pass it back. These big boys looking pretty hefty. With that Delver of Secrets not flipping, things are quickly getting out of Mason's control here. Looking at a very real one-turn clock, he's going to have to start trading with these constructs. Sometimes a 4/4 is big enough to get it done. See Mason checking his graveyard and passing it back. A Brainstorm getting resolved for AJ at the end of Mason's turn. Decides not to pay the mana. So gets to draw an extra card off of the Esper Sentinel for Mason. Oh, this is AJ's turn. Deciding to take 4 more damage from that construct. Flashing in a Snapcaster Mage. And we're going to see a Brainstorm. Hopefully this is going to set up the Delver of Secrets to flip. Because if that's the case, and AJ has no other reaction, no removal or anything, that's going to be just enough to lethal AJ here. 3 in the air, and then 3 other attackers. Only going to be able to block 1, has to block the Snapcaster Mage, and that's 5 damage exactly. I don't know if AJ has anything. I see a Pyroblast and a Teferi. You gotta go all out, Mason. Here it is, the full blocks, full attacks. Solitude coming in. Is there an answer? Oh, he had the 4th Force of Will! That's it! Oh, wow. What a game. Mason taking it 2-0. Thank you for joining us for that game. I hope you found it as exciting as I did. And if you like this kind of content, please enjoy our backlog. We have quite a few videos at this time, and if you like them, please like them. And why don't you subscribe to the channel if you like the content here as well. Big thank you to Spellhold Games for allowing us to record at the store. And if you have any other decks that you'd like to see, or if you'd like us to cover another format, please let us know in the comments. We actually just had a 1K Modern event, and we plan on covering it on this channel. And if you want to see more stuff like that, let us know. We're going to be heading back to Pauper for our next video. It's going to be Boros Bully featuring me versus a Rakdos Madness deck. We'll see you then.